Big cheese.
Cheese, Cash.
Cheese, cheese. That's a good one. Hi guys, welcome to Autism Us episode 2.
Hi guys.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Today's video we're going to be talking about the earlier years with our little boy Cash.
Signs we noticed and
Yeah.
what contributed, we thought, to the diagnosis.
Yeah. So we did sort of touch on this in the mini-series Autism Us, so if you were able to watch that, it was only maybe 3 to 4 minutes, and I think we brought up 2 or 3 signs that we thought, but today's video will probably go into a little bit more depth with that. So some of the signs that we noticed, well, the first one, well, what was your first one?
Obviously the delayed speech, because he wasn't talking when all the other kids were talking at kindy. And
so for those who don't know, Cash was actually diagnosed at 3.5 with autism spectrum disorder. He is 6 now, but when it wasn't until 2.5 that we actually started seeking extra help, and we'll get to that. But the reason, like, leading up to that is obviously, as Matt said, the speech delay.
Also eating as well.
Yeah.
That was a big one for us. He would try new things. He was willing to try, and then if he didn't like it, obviously being 2.5 or 3, he would spit it out, but that was fine. He still tried it.
Yeah.
And then it got to the point of where there was select foods and he literally would not even try it. He'd throw the bowl and just deny it straight away, you know. But
these are obviously a little kid, like, we're thinking as parents this is normal. All kids are fussy. So he was eating purees and broccoli, and we noticed a lot of green foods he did have as a baby and up until 2, and then it was like he started to gag.
Yeah.
So the gagging obviously wasn't normal.
No, remember we got told that from the nurse at the doctor's. Remember she said it's very strange for a boy to be gagging, you know, on food anyway, you know. At 2.5 and 3 they're eating anything and everything, like, or at least trying it, but he would dry reach before he'd even give it a taste. Like, yeah,
like he didn't even want to touch it. So we sort of realised that was more of a sensory issue.
Yeah. Because it wouldn't matter if it was sugar or anything. You would try and get him to taste the cake, you know, thinking that as soon as he actually tasted it, he would enjoy it, but he would dry reach as soon as he put it in his mouth and wouldn't literally not even give it a chance. But
so the speech delay obviously was the first one, and then the food.
Incorporated in the speech though was the counting.
Yeah, that was a big thing for us actually. He was able to count to 10, and
he was counting to 10 at 2 years old.
Yeah.
Like,
very clearly, very easily. And then it's not like, I don't want to say it was all of a sudden he stopped, but we noticed like it very much regressed.
Yeah,
I would say.
He just sort of lost interest in it, I think.
He never was. There was one day where we realised he wasn't counting to 10, and then he never did again until last year.
Yeah,
actually.
until 5 years old.
Yeah.
So it took a couple of years to get that back.
It was like his memory, like just went blank kind of thing. It's really hard to describe, but yeah, that's how I would sort of describe it.
He's very coherent with a lot of other things. He didn't just forget everything. It was forgetting things he should remember. You know, counting or names
ABCs,
or people. Like, he still gets confused sometimes with names, but you know, counting is sort of a given. That's how we noticed, I guess. Yeah. That was a big sign for us, and we're thinking, hang on, there's the eating, there's the delayed language, there's the counting. Yeah. And
another major thing for me was when he was at kindy. Matt and I were both working full time, so he was in kindy. He didn't really want to play with the other kids, and he would sit on this one couch, and only one boy who we developed a friendship with, who he has still a very strong friendship with him now. He was the only one that was allowed on this couch. He would sit on this couch and observe everybody playing. He, you know, did struggle to make connections with the other kids, But that was also something that led the kindy teachers to talk to us as well and to say, do you want to maybe see a pediatrician about this or see the doctor, because Cash isn't really developing those friendships and those connections like the other children are. So
yeah, the social skills. There.
So we did go to see a pediatrician. We saw a pediatrician 4 times over a year. At the end of the 4th visit, he was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. It wasn't until I think the 2nd visit did autism even pop up in the conversation. Like, I had no idea what autism was. Like, did you?
No, I didn't. No way.
All I had knew when they said, when he first mentioned autism, I thought, okay, does that mean he's going to be really good at math? Like, that might make me sound like an idiot or an airhead, but I just wasn't educated, and I didn't really know. I didn't realize, you know, what it was.
To be honest, I thought autism was similar to Down syndrome. That's, to be perfectly honest. I thought, you know, obviously he's going to have intellectual disability, but is he going to have a physical disability? I didn't know. That's just how much, you know, people aren't aware of these different conditions. And
even like 3 years ago, I feel like maybe it's just because it's part of our world now. We're more, you know, we take notice of it a little bit more, but no one talked about it, you know, back then, it would seem to us anyway.
Yeah. I guess it's gotten to the point now where Sarah, and also sometimes myself, we can see when people have autism.
Yeah.
We can see a child in the park.
Yeah.
And Sarah or myself will say that kid's got autism.
Yeah.
And 10 minutes later we're talking to their parents and they've got autism.
And it's funny because they can tell too. Like, they pick up the signs. Like, it even happened, Matt was doing a plumbing job the other week, and she immediately could tell that Cash had autism and started talking to me about it when we got in the car. I said, oh, did you tell, you know, her that? And she's like, no. He said no, he hadn't told her. So.
And well, she said my grandson's got autism, and funnily enough, she was talking to Cash slowly and clearly. Yeah. You know, knowing that's what it would take to get, you know, to conversate with him.
Which to me, like, I think is great that she was aware, because, you know, not many people are, and that's okay. But I just thought we needed to educate ourselves a little bit more about it. So as we said before, it wasn't really until the 2nd visit where autism was even mentioned by the pediatrician, and even at that stage, he wasn't really, you know, he was sort of going down a different path, because Cash was showing a lot of remorse and, you know, just a lot of emotion.
That was in certain experiments that he was doing as well. He would say if Cash would smack him, he would pull a face so that Cash would feel sorry for him, and that was recognition of feelings. So one of the biggest things people don't realise with autism is it's so hard to recognise facial expressions. So we have charts where we work with Cash and show him different facial expressions, because he doesn't know how to process the feelings once he reads the expression on someone's face. So someone's crying with laughter, you know, he thinks someone's crying because they're in agony, or they're distraught, or it's kind of hard to explain. But he noticed Cash was recognizing some feelings but not others, and that's, you know, to show empathy in autism it's very rare. I guess that's a big telltale sign, is your child not showing too much empathy, still having feelings for themselves and for, you know, their family around them, but not having empathy at times and not being aware of hurting people, you know, slapping people and thinking it's funny, or
just no expression at all.
No expression at all.
No sorries or anything, or no.
And that's a trait of autism, and you know, we've had to learn from that and adapt. You know,
obviously there are a lot of different traits of autism. Like, not every kid is completely different. Like, it's you know, there are many autistic children that do show the emotions, and then there's a lot that don't. You know, like, every child is different. We cannot stress that. Like, but that sort of led him to go down a different path, and you know, maybe it suggested that it was something other than autism. We thought maybe it was just a severe speech delay.
Yeah.
So when it did
come... And an intellectual delay as well.
Yeah, intellectual disability as well, which he still has both of those diagnoses as top of autism spectrum disorder. So when he was diagnosed after the 4th visit, so that was a year, by this stage he was 3.5. Like, so we came home, it was a big shock, you know, we cried, you know, we blamed ourselves, I certainly blamed myself.
We're his parents.
Yeah.
You know?
And then the first thing I did was I went on YouTube and Googled autism. There was really nothing. There was one video, and I remember it very clear. It was a dad. He was sitting in the front seat of his car and his little boy was in the back having a massive meltdown because he was just coming out of a shopping center. And that was the only video that I had seen, and that I just remember that, like I still remember it to this day, like just how important that video was, because it was very rare for someone to, you know, put that on YouTube. The parents felt exactly the same way as Matt and I feel about making this series, but it was so helpful for me personally as a mum to sort of, I wouldn't say prep me for what was going to happen, but it definitely, it helped me a lot. So if we can sort of do that with this series then, and help other parents, then, you know, that would be, that's our goal. So
I think personally the number one thing with the diagnosis is acceptance, because you're going to deny it. You're going to go, no way. You're going to argue. You know, you're going to argue with your wife or your husband or anything. You're going to argue and say, no way, this is completely wrong. He's just delayed speech, or, you know, he's just this or that.
Yeah.
But early intervention is key, and so I guess accepting it and getting the right help straight away, as young as you can, that's going to prevent the different diversion of school. Like Cash goes to special school, you know. We're trying to get that early intervention so that, you know, he's in grade 1 now. We're hoping, and they said in a recent diagnosis that he's going to be there until grade 3.
Yeah. We're
hoping in grade 3, with all this intervention that we're doing and all the things that we're trying to change, that he will go back to mainstream school. It's as simple as that. Accepting it and getting the best help that you can. Your child might not have autism, you know, but get to the bottom of it before, you know, they get too old. Like, do it while they're young. Think, oh, we'll wait a year, we'll wait 2 years, they'll be right, you know.
The amount of times we heard boys are slower than girls.
Yeah. Oh, girls walk sooner. Girls talk sooner.
Don't stress.
Einstein didn't talk till 5.
Oh my gosh.
Up.
If we had $1 for every time we heard that.
Yeah. And to be honest, you do go, okay, maybe we will give it 6 months.
And you do. You convince yourself, okay. But by that, like, 2.5 point, we were like, okay, maybe we'll just go see.
Yeah.
Well, I hope we added some value to you guys with this video. Please keep in mind, and I can't stress this enough I'll probably say this in every video, but we are not doctors or specialists or, you know,
it's just personal experience.
We're just parents to a little boy with autism, so please, you know, I guess we're worried that we're going to be criticized at some point, but that's not our intention. We mean we want these videos to be, you know, helpful to other
informative
parents.
To parents. There's no right or wrong.
Yeah.
That's our experience. That is what is happening to us.
You guys aren't alone, and if we can help in any way, don't be afraid to reach out to us. Comment below if you have any questions, or if there's any sort of thing you want us to talk about. Like, we could talk about, you know, everything. We'd be here for days, but it's really, we want to help you guys. So any other parents or anybody who might be dealing with some of these issues as well, don't be afraid to reach out to us. So thank you so much for the support again, guys.
Thanks, guys.
And I hope this video, I can edit this down. So, thank you so much, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.
Yeah.